I'm on the wrong side of my 40s. What I do in the next 5 years is really what I'm going to have to live off of for the rest of my life. Today's Tuesday. This time next week I'll be sort of packing everything up ready to leave on the Wednesday to get to London. We've got to sign in and do all the registration stuff ready for a very, very early start on Thursday. So I'm kind of into the last little block of training. I know from my own physical exertions last year that I actually don't deal very well with having like full tapering. When it comes to bike riding, still need to get out and do some efforts and all the rest of it right up until the day. I only put out one video last week. Things have been fine, nothing's been going wrong or not in a stressful place, just busy. You know, everyone's busy. You know what it's like because we're all in the same world, and been training around it, everything's been going fine, but along with the sort of downtime and the socialising, so's the eating and drinking, but the miles and the enjoyment are still there. London to Paris is coming up. I'm going to make videos. I won't be taking my laptop, so you won't be getting daily videos. I just want to enjoy it and grab footage, and I'll make a video or 3 videos or whatever I end up doing depending on the footage that I capture. When I come back, things start thinking about what I'm going to do next. Last couple of years I've had sort of 2 big bike focuses. The Grand Tour last year, London to Paris this year, and I had started this tri-channel, well, as a tri-channel. My obsession, 34, 35 year obsession with cycling, obviously means it's cycling dominated. But that does mean an awful lot of what I do is focused around cycling, and triathlon is, you know, is it an equal passion of mine? Don't think it can be really. I don't follow triathlon. I don't keep up with the athletes or who's who or sponsorship deals or anything like that. I just enjoy training and racing triathlons. I think if you focus too much on the now, and I've seen this with athletes with Ironman racing and stuff like that, where, you know, they'll focus 1 or 2 years on doing an Ironman distance race, and then as soon as the race is done, their reasons for sort of training go out the window and their bike ends up on eBay and they're replacing energy gels with pints of lager and bags of crisps. Not that I can talk, but what am I going to do next? What's the next challenge? What am I going to focus on? So I took it right the way back to why I started the channel 4 years ago, and I actually found it difficult to know why I started the channel 4 years ago. I know in the video that I made, I was talking about how I used to be a good athlete. 2015, I was fast and lean. Good morning. And the problem with that was the fact that mentally I wasn't in a very good place, and that was one of the main focuses of starting the channel, was to sort of try and get back to where I was in 2015 with my head in the right place. Well, you know, I'm not anywhere near where I was in 2015 physically. A lot's conspired against that. I still haven't got my eating and drinking under control. There are mitigating circumstances with that, with Bex getting cancer and lockdown and all the stresses and strains of having to work as hard as we did during lockdown at university. But mentally, I feel like a completely different person. I watched that video back, and I go back even further to 2015. I don't really recognise that person. I was in a very dark place, and I don't know, there are many reasons for that. However, what I have spent the last 4 years doing is really trying to get my head around what those things are and who I am and what things mean to me. And if I'm honest, one of the biggest things has been this level of accountability with the channel. I've been thinking, do I carry the channel on? Is there any point? What's it doing? It's not making any money. It's not supposed to. I'm way off on the watch hours to even get close to that. But that wasn't ever the point of starting the channel, to get brand deals or anything like that. It was accountability. And I've met so many awesome people through the channel, both over here and in the States, regular contact with so many people. and it's fantastic. I really love it, and that's really good for me. I'm not a massively social person because my day job as a musician is kind of forcibly social. I like it, but it's work. Bex is like, we're gonna have a party, invite your mates. I'm scrolling through going, musician, 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 musician. So where do we go from here? Where do I go? Where do I take you? Where do you push me in this next year? Well, I was thinking, I always work to a deadline. I love deadlines. I'm a very objective person, which is ridiculous really, considering the industry I'm in is like the most subjective thing you could ever have. Music industry. It's probably one of the reasons why I've had my moments of struggle in the music industry, is the subjectivity of it, not being sure about what I'm doing. Whereas with sports, so much more objective. You know, your blood lactate is what it is, and your heart rate is what it is, and your power is what it is. So I need a deadline, and the most sensible deadline that's coming up is the last stage of the Tour de France next year. I should be able to remember that, shouldn't I? So the question is, what do I challenge myself to? I don't want this to become purely a cycling channel, but cycling is going to be a big part of it. And I also want to reincorporate more triathlon stuff, more adventures. I want to broaden out what the scope of what it is that I'm doing. I think the head's in the right place. We'll see, right? It'll be a challenge. I'm gonna have ups and downs. That's natural, everybody has those. But I want to try and see what I can do physically. I've always had this kind of, this reticence to talk about body shape really, which is crazy. In this day and age with body shaming and stuff like that, it's not the thing that we talk about, why people look the way they do. However, I have never, ever felt confident in my body shape. I want to do something about that. I've always talked about weight, and of course that is a big factor, but I also am quite interested to see what I can do with my body shape in total. I've always thought that triathletes, particularly ITU athletes, have awesome figures, awesome bodies. I'm not a big fan of the skinny child's arms of the climber. I much prefer the slightly stockier nature of a time trialist, or like Brad Wiggins and Adam Blythe have a bit of a man crush on Wout van Aert. But I like that balanced tone, strong looking figure, but I don't like big muscles. I like them to be lithe and lean. And I'd love to hit a goal that I had years ago, which is about as close as I've ever got to looking physically, which is to look good in a skin suit. Always wanted and never had the confidence to, you know, stand in a skin suit or a tri-suit and feel confident in that body shape. I haven't really ever done any focus on strength and conditioning. My core, my upper core, is actually pretty good from playing the drums, because there's a lot of parallels between playing the drums and cycling in terms of body contact point, lateral movement, that kind of stuff. And you know, 30 odd years of playing drums, pretty good for the old upper core. But I've always had weak glutes, and working on those glutes in the last, well, since I started training for the Grand Tour, so 18 months, 19 months ago, I've enjoyed this focus on feeling that stamina come into the glutes and around that lower core, because of course our core is nipples to knees, not just our abdomen. So of course the focus does have to be on losing fat, because I have a lot of it and I'd like to get really lean. I'm not absolutely 100% convinced I know how to do that. Anyway, that's one thing to look into. I kind of need your help and input on some ideas of what to try. I really enjoyed making that video I made a few weeks ago. The idea of adventurising, using Bald and Bankrupt's words, around the area, maybe some trail running, which I used to adore back in 2014 when I was training for an ultra marathon. I used to go out and run for, 4 or 5 hours, backpack, headphones. It was awesome. Those existing performance goals that I've always had are still there. So for triathlon, sub 25 minute 1500 meters. For running, sub 20, sub 40, 5 and 10 Ks. On the bike, well, 10 mile time trial, you see. Here's the thing. I think my PB is like a mid 23. Love to get it under 23, love to get it down to 22 something. So lots of ideas, lots of goals. What I'm going to do in the description below is I'm going to whack a load of ideas and things that I want to try. But the ultimate goal is to keep the headspace in a good place, but also to try and build a physique that I feel really confident in. Never had that in my life. I felt fast, I felt strong, I felt mentally good like I do now, but my body's not there. I'd like to just tie it all together in the next, well, see where I can get to in a year. Morning. I think that's my point, isn't it? That a year isn't very long really when you're trying to make lifelong changes. I'm 45 now. I'm on the wrong side of my 40s. What I do in the next 5 years is really what I'm going to have to live off of for the rest of my life. I need to think very carefully about how and what I do in this next 5 years. I'm going to break it down into sort of 1 year chunks really and see what I can get out of each year, getting me to the point where I feel mentally and physically strong, and I feel mentally and physically confident. Wow, that's going to be quite a journey, isn't it? Christ, I've got a funny feeling that's kind of what we've all been trying or wanting to do all our lives, but that's the goal. So is it about cycling? No. Is it about triathlon? Not really. Is it about having a body that looks good in a skin suit? Not at all. What is it about? Well, it's about me. It's about here, heart, lungs, head, and just seeing if this time next year I can be a bit closer to feeling confident mentally and physically. Bit of a monologue this week for this video. I know not most of you won't have made it to the end of this video, which is totally fair enough. But those of you that do watch these videos regularly, I just need your help, a bit of support. Just give me a hi or a wave or a thought or a comment or an idea or your own goals or something in the next year or what it is you'd like to achieve. I'll get over these speed humps and get rid of the wobble. I'll let you get on with your day. Whatever you do with it, try and smile as much as you can. Have a good one, thanks for watching, see you on the next video. All right.